Let's join Heather and board certified behavior analyst Pat Adkins from our community partner, Logan Community Resources, as they talk about this week's high leverage practice.
Welcome to Little Bits of TLC, the podcast where we explore the dynamic world of education. Join our host, Heather Volchko, as this season we focus on high leverage practices, HLPs. Each episode will examine a different HLP, essential strategies designed to enhance teaching and improve outcomes across various educational settings. These practices focus on collaboration, assessment, social, emotional, behavioral support, and instruction, benefiting all K-12 students. I hope you're ready to be both challenged and inspired, because this season is all about mastering the HLPs. This is Little Bits of TLC. Looking to become an RBT in a school setting? Or just want training that actually fits the work you do every day? Our school-based RBT 40-hour training was built just for that. This course meets the 2026 training requirements and was created by real school-based specialists who know what the job actually looks like. It's engaging, up-to-date, and grounded in the classroom, not a clinic. With cross-training connections for paraeducators and study tools to help you pass your exam with confidence, this training goes way beyond checking a box. Led by Heather Volchko, Candace McCoy, and Manny Wasius, and featuring Dr. Richard Van Acker, it's the first course of its kind that we know of, and we're proud of that. Head to university.thresholdlearning.org to enroll and get started. Let us teach you the basics, get you thriving, and move you onward through your journey to becoming an RBT today.
Use multiple sources of information to develop a comprehensive understanding of a student's strengths and needs. To develop a deep understanding of a student's learning needs, special educators compile a comprehensive learner profile through the use of a variety of assessment measures and other sources, like information from parents, general educators, and other stakeholders, that are sensitive to language and culture, to A, analyze and describe students' strengths and needs, and B, analyze the school-based learning environments to determine potential supports and barriers to students' academic progress. Teachers should collect, aggregate, and interpret data from multiple sources, like informal and formal observations, work samples, curriculum-based measures, functional behavior assessments, or FBA, school files, analysis of curriculum, information from families, and other data sources. This information is used to create an individualized profile of the student's strengths and needs.
This week, we're talking about high leverage practice number 4, using multiple sources of information to develop a comprehensive understanding of a student's strengths and needs. And I know, Pat, you're living in the middle of a bunch of different sectors, constantly trying to pool everybody's information and make sure that everybody receives all of that information so that all of the best decisions can be made and the best services can be provided. So for you, what does this practice look like?
Yeah, this is another one where, it kind of depends on the specific partnership that we're talking about. But I just think in general, so my department specifically, right, is just attempting to be so community forward and community facing. So, not only are we maybe interacting with school personnel and all the, providers that the school provides, SLPs, OTs, but then even in like other settings, like maybe our Boys and Girls Club location or some of our other locations, we're also working alongside outside providers that they also bring in as well. And so there's just, gosh, we are always at a table with just so many different providers, perspectives in general. And something that comes to the forefront of my mind in this last year has just been with the amount of different like perspectives and I guess agendas that you hear that are brought to the table. I've just really learned to listen first and foremost. And I mean, it goes without saying that there's going to be a number of people and ideas that maybe you, whether it be like personally or professionally, don't agree with. And I think that sometimes, I'll be honest, right? Like in behavior analysis, we have a bad rap for being the ones that say no, like, but we're experts in behavior, right? So like listen to our ideas. And I hate that. So that's always in the back of my mind, like going into some of these meetings that we already have a bad reputation. So I'm definitely not going to be that BCBA that people already are annoyed with to say, listen, this is what I think that we should do. I think that there is a time and place for that, but I'm really hesitant to lead with that, if ever. I always listen first. And then if I feel really strongly about something, I'm just like, I feel really passionately about the approach. And I think that you can have your ideas and you can convey your concerns But if you come off really aggressively, it's just never really going to come across the right way. And there have been a number of ideas where I'm just like, man, I really don't. There are some that you're like, okay, we can test it out. And there are some you're like, I know this won't work. But even if I know or I feel strongly that this won't work or this isn't a good idea, I may at least say, hey, this is where I see where you're coming from. And I want to at least validate that. I think that that makes sense. And I think that we're all here for the same reason, right? We're here because we want to see this outcome. My concerns, at least from my perspective, are maybe this and this, but maybe you can help me understand your pros and cons, right? Are we can meet in the middle? Where can we compromise? Maybe there's parts of this that I don't understand. So let's just like talk about it. Cause I'm not saying that I don't think that we should do it at all or that we should attempt it. I just want to bring to the table here my thoughts and concerns. How can we all kind of come together and see what kind of compromise there is, or maybe there's not. And maybe sometimes it comes down to whether it be to make parents happy or to make other providers happy. Well, as behavioralists should do, right? We'll take the data. Let's try it out. Let's see if it works. And you know what? Maybe it does. And that's great. And we have the data to show that like you were right. And I'll be the first to admit that like I didn't think that it was going to work, but data shows maybe that it was effective. So I at least want to be able to say that like I gave it a shot and we let the data kind of show for itself. But and all that, I think in a long-winded answer, I've just really learned to like listen and make sure that I'm not coming in so strong because I think people already think poorly of us. And unfortunately, because of some of the past that we have, I'm just really cognizant of that and want to try to avoid that. And I feel like so far, listening first and really coming in with an approach of like, how can I help instead of how can I tell you what to do or how can I just give suggestions? When you come in saying like, hey, I'm just like, how can I best help you? You seem to know what to do and you seem to at least we're on the same page of what we want, so how do we come together and make this work? And that seems to help a lot.
So you're talking about, in my words, kind of like the soft skills that it takes for multiple sources to even be considered, right? Like I need to show up with an open mind. I need to show up with a potential worldview that someone else might have an answer that I either don't know right now, I'm not aware of, or unfamiliar with. And I mean, this is one of the reasons that I've so appreciated our conversations, is that you naturally have that kind of unknown as part of what you're okay with. But I'm also curious, as someone who is sitting at the table, typically interfacing with providers from other fields, domains, sectors, agencies, my assumption is you come across tools or information that is brought forward as either proof or directive that is unfamiliar to you. So
Yes.
how do you walk through that? Like, how do you either grow in competency or grow in
Mm.
familiarity or make sense of maybe information that you yourself are not directly aware of, but would potentially impact, the decision that you're there to help make?
Before I even like voice my concerns or I'm just gonna like look into it. Like just because I'm not familiar with it doesn't mean that it's not effective or evidence based. And maybe from a different field or even maybe within our own field that I'm unfamiliar with. But I guess that's reflective of like me. I just want to learn more about it. And maybe it's something that's I should know more about. And maybe it's something that even if after I look into like, oh, you know what, that's maybe not something that we align with, but it's still helpful for me to know. And again, maybe it's something that ultimately I think, you know what, yeah, I think that this is something that we could really like come together on. Or maybe it's not something that I can, but at least kind of know what your perspective is. And maybe your data and your assessment isn't something that I find is helpful or useful, but it's helpful for you. And there are things that I may bring to the table that you're like, that doesn't make any sense, or I don't really quite care about that, right? And so, and I have to understand that as well. So again, like, okay, I'm going to try to understand what you're bringing to the table. And if there are parts that don't align, are there other assessments that we can find that overlap or that come together? And maybe that's something that we can find and maybe not.
So I think it's sounding like most of the tables that you're at just sort of naturally have multiple sources because there are so many different types of people from so many different backgrounds all
Mhm.
maybe present in those conversations. But that's leading me to wonder if you've ever been in any conversation where maybe people are thinking they've got a lot of different types of information, but maybe like there's gaps or there's pieces that maybe collectively the team is overlooking. And you've had to be kind of like, hey, but what about? Or is there something else? Like just, I'm thinking like collective blind spots, right? Where we think we've got all the bases covered, but maybe we're missing something.
Yeah, I'm thinking from maybe like even parents' perspective, right? Sometimes parents think that from their perspective that they have all the gaps filled, and maybe we're seeing things that they're not seeing. Or the speech pathologist, right? Sees what they see in their sessions, but maybe we're seeing things that are different. And so it does happen, right? Where they are kind of our perspectives and our experiences collide, and maybe they're not the same. So that involves another conversation where we say, again, like, how can we come together and kind of like fuse our ideas and our perspectives in a way that like works for everyone? But that definitely happens for sure.
Yeah, and I think especially when we're looking at things like evaluations or assessments, when we're having to
Hmm.
either prove that services are needed or no longer needed or a certain adjustment is needed, any of those things. Sometimes I find practitioners, we can really narrow in maybe a bit more because we've got this specific target in mind or this specific
Hmm.
outcome in mind. But we're then sort of, what is it like? Losing the tree in the forest, right? Like that kind of a
Yeah.
thing where we've overlooked or missed the comprehensive nature of how this one specific thing is really fitting into this much bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes that's another thing that a lot of, I think, BCBAs that we have a bad reputation for are taking like skill sets or like goals inside of assessments and then really like honing in on that and really like you said, missing out in the bigger picture. Or like, okay, is this something that is technically a skill deficit according to this assessment? Sure. Is it something that we should prioritize right here and right now? Maybe we think so, but parents don't, right? Or maybe the school does it. Maybe that's more of like a long-term goal. And so that's another thing where we just again have to kind of bring to the table. I even had this recently with a family where the school maybe has their short-term and long-term goals, right? And then the parents have theirs and then we have ours, but they all didn't quite align. And so we are adjusting to make sure that, we're addressing what's socially significant and what parents find are really important and what the school finds important as well. And so we may have to pivot. What we thought was maybe something that we should prioritize may not be something that the parents thought. And maybe we base that off of assessments or things that we see, but parents may know differently based on what happens at home or what their plans are for the future that we may not be privy to. So I definitely can see sometimes where we're guilty of that, where we'll kind of sometimes lose sight, I think, of the big picture for sure.
So, as someone who is constantly at the table with so many different, service providers and sectors, what have you found to be some of the most, I mean, think successful strategies or ways of engaging with folks that have different understandings or different perspectives to make sure that you, as a service provider, also have the most comprehensive picture of that student or client that you're serving?
Probably sound like a broken record, but for sure, I just try to listen so much, like really listen, ask a lot of good questions. I'm a big question asker, but I just want to lead first with a listening ear and really go from there, which sounds so silly. But honestly, whether that be just with, meeting with one specific person or like one party, like the parents and us, or, us and the school and the parents and other service providers, I like to just like, what is it that you want to bring to the table? What are your ideas? What are your thoughts and your concerns? And then if ideas or concerns are conflicting, how can we fuse these together? You can't do that if you're coming in, I think, and trying to give ideas, tell people what to do without like listening and hearing them out first. I get how, I guess, silly that sounds, but you'd be surprised, I think, with just maybe how many people, and I'm sure you've encountered them as well, that maybe come in and start to maybe bark orders or toss out ideas without just saying like, okay, but what do you think, or what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think sometimes the simplest things are also the most difficult to make
Right.
happen, right? Like, so something that seems such, we say like common sense or basic practices, those types of things, they're just not.
Mhm.
And so it is totally okay to drive home the fact that, yes, we can talk about, there's all these implementation checklists and all these different, domains we need to make sure are covered to hit, all these things. But that's the like technical side.
Yeah.
I so appreciate I don't know, just like that genuine humility that you are bringing
Mm,
into this conversation, because it's not just going through the checklist and making sure that everybody did their evals and all the data is present and all of it's been discussed and okay, now we're all just going to go do what we do, that it's so much deeper than that.
mm,
Like, yes, we need to all make sure that we're showing up with what we have and we've done what we need to do so that we can, collaborate team well and, really drive toward anything that we're providing within that comprehensive picture of the student. But none of us can do that effectively if we aren't coming in with a heavy dose of humility, which you are driving home so hard in this conversation. So, no, I don't think there's any problem with that at all. I think simplicity is beautiful and also almost impossible sometimes to achieve.
that's been a good lesson for me too. The bottom line, right, is that regardless of what hats you're wearing in these professional meetings, at the end of the day, we're all there for the same reason, and we're all human beings. And so I want to validate your concerns, and even if I strongly disagree, maybe like clinically or professionally with you, I want you to know that I see you, right? And like the goal is not to walk away saying that I won or I got my way, or even that we're doing what I think is best. Sometimes I walk away from meetings where we're not doing what I think is best, but like I hope that everyone at least feels seen and heard, because aside from that, like you're a human being and we should just like be there to advocate for the client and first and foremost, right? Like that's what we're here to do. You're not going to get anywhere coming into this attitude of I know what's best and I think that I this is what we should do.
Yeah, and I genuinely am so appreciative that you have that professional perspective because as someone who is naturally situated in the middle of all of the different sources of information and really being on the front of needing to guide, direct, almost like facilitate some of those conversations, to do so in such a way where you can receive information that you may not be familiar with, validate that yes, we don't have any glaring gaps in, this massive comprehensive picture of all of the different needs that this, student or client, this population just naturally brings with themselves. Yeah, I'm so thankful for the way this conversation panned out. And of course, the back half of this episode is full of all the technical things as well. So thank you so much for just bringing humility to be so front and center and even being able to interpret all those information pieces.
Thanks.
Working with students who need long term individualized support? Project Base is a 4-strand project designed for educators in self contained classrooms serving students with low incident needs. You'll get step by step guidance on building a program that focuses on communication, daily routines, and real world skill building. From setting up the classroom environment to designing personalized plans, this course helps you create a space where your students can grow and succeed in school and into adulthood. Led by Chris Zielinski and Carly Dietz, Project Base offers practical strategies, case studies, and planning tools to help you confidently support your students every step of the way. If you're ready to strengthen your program and build something that lasts, this project is your next step. If you're supporting emotional or behavioral needs in general ed or resource classrooms, Project Thrive helps you keep learning on track. And if you're in a therapeutic or alternative setting, building something from the ground up, Project Onward offers the structure and tools to do it well. Head to university.thresholdlearning.org to meet your team and begin building your home base today.
Imagine stepping into the world of a student with disabilities, where each individual carries a unique blend of strengths and challenges. Their needs span across academics, social skills, emotional regulation, and communication, shaped by underlying issues such as attention deficits, memory challenges, and emotional struggles. These factors can significantly impact their ability to succeed, and understanding them is crucial for crafting instruction that truly meets their needs. Research highlights that students struggling with specific language and cognitive aspects, like phonological awareness and rapid letter naming, often require intensive ongoing support. The effectiveness of instruction in reading and math is a strong predictor of future success, and it's essential to consider how environmental factors like culture, language, and family poverty influence learning and behavior. A well organized instructional environment that supports students' needs can greatly enhance their learning and behavior. Given this complexity, special education teachers must develop comprehensive learner profiles. These profiles are not static, they evolve with ongoing instructional and behavioral data, offering a nuanced view of each student's strengths, needs, cultural influences, and responses to instruction. Creating these profiles involves gathering information from a variety of sources: detailed assessments, family discussions, curriculum based measurements, student surveys, and direct classroom observations. By analyzing patterns in this data, teachers can build a robust understanding of each student's academic and non academic needs. This comprehensive view helps in designing, implementing, and refining instruction and fosters a collaborative approach by professionals and parents. Ultimately, the goal is to use this information continuously to support and guide students toward their full potential. When we talk about assessment, it's essential to view it as an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. This approach is vital for professionals working together and engaging with families of students with disabilities. They need access to a wide array of information to truly grasp each student's unique needs and develop a tailored support plan. No single assessment, regardless of its type, can give us the complete picture of a student's strengths and needs. That's why collaborative efforts among professionals and families are so crucial. By integrating insights from multiple sources, teams can work together more effectively to understand students fully and create individualized plans that genuinely address their needs. This ongoing collaborative process ensures that the support provided is both comprehensive and responsive to each student's evolving needs. Effective teachers excel in building a deep understanding of their students by integrating various sources of information. They use both formal and informal assessments to uncover academic strengths and areas for improvement. Beyond standardized tests, they actively seek students' own perspectives, asking about their preferences, strengths, needs, and long-term goals. They also engage with family members to gain valuable insights into the students' interests, motivations, health, language, and cultural backgrounds, both within the school environment and at home. By weaving together data from these diverse sources, whether it's assessments, student feedback, or family input, teachers create a rich, comprehensive learner profile. This holistic understanding not only shapes instructional strategies, but also guides critical decisions related to individualized education programs, or IEPs, ensuring that the support provided is both personalized and effective. For school leaders aiming to support teachers effectively, it's crucial to focus on several key areas. First, ensure that every educator is well informed about the assessments available to them, making sure these tools are appropriate and minimally biased for the student's age and cognitive levels. Equally important is providing clear instruction on how to interpret data from various sources. Teachers need to understand how these different types of data come together to create a complete picture of each student's strengths, needs, and current performance. In addition, offering constructive feedback on how teachers administer and interpret these assessments can greatly enhance their skills. This ongoing support not only helps teachers refine their assessment practices, but also ensures they are equipped to make informed decisions that benefit their students. Both general and special education teachers play crucial roles in understanding and assessing students' strengths, needs, and interests. However, special education teachers are uniquely positioned to craft detailed, comprehensive learner profiles for each student. This is because they typically have the most direct and frequent interactions with students who have disabilities, their families, and the various professionals involved in their assessment. These teachers often work closely with students in small group settings, providing intensive support that allows them to gain a deeper understanding of each student's unique needs. This close interaction not only helps them gather richer insights, but also allows them to tailor instruction more precisely. To create these comprehensive profiles, effective special education teachers must be well versed in various assessment tools and understand how to leverage the data they provide. This knowledge enables them to collaborate with the educational team to design, implement, evaluate, and continually refine instructional programs. The ultimate goal is to assure that students with disabilities receive the support they need to fully engage with and benefit from the general education curriculum. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Join us next week when Heather sits down with our school psychologist, Lathrell Eiler, to talk about our next high leverage practice.
Hey, before you jump back into your busy life, consider dropping a like and follow at Threshold Learning TLC on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you like our show, share the podcast with your colleagues. A personal recommendation is by far the best way to promote the podcast. Let them know that they can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that they catch their podcast. Just be sure to leave a rating and review on your favorite platform. You can email us at info@thresholdlearning.org. We always enjoy connecting with fellow educators and champions for educational justice. You can find everything you're looking for at thresholdlearning.org. See you there. Attention educators pursuing behavior analysis certification and universities preparing them for success. Supervision with TLC offers 100% remote fieldwork supervision designed specifically for school-based professionals. Educators can earn their hours right in their schools without leaving their classroom, all while being supported by experienced BCBAs who understand the realities of education. With month-to-month scheduling, affordable rates, and both live video and asynchronous chat, our fieldwork supervision model is designed to fit into your life, not the other way around. We also invite universities to enhance their graduate programs in partnership with our team of practicing school-based BCBAs. Our fieldwork supervision model keeps students on track for certification by helping them connect their practice to all exam domains so that they can confidently pass the exam. Explore more at university.thresholdlearning.org/supervision or email supervision@thresholdlearning.org to connect. Supervision with TLC, where educators grow into behavior analysts.